So I said that's the precautions kind of side, and there's the two more. So the Korea government had the precaution, which is the one of stopping it happening as before it's happened as much as it could. Two is then the testing. So I said we were one of the first ones, I think, to do that mass testing. I said, like, obviously, I think it was all in the news about Daegu doing the drive-through testing, which I said, once again, it's just logical. Just what's the point of, like, that was my scariest thing. Even just going to hospital for a sore throat, going to hospital for anything, is if I go into that hospital environment, there's obviously so much more of a chance of someone having that kind of virus or those kind of things there. So that was logical approach there. I said it was just the mass testing. Obviously, basically, they even, I think at one point they said testing was relatively free. If you have symptoms, I think it's free at the moment. If you don't have symptoms, you can pay for it. And if your GP recommends it, it's free. So straight away, that cost-wise is great. One of the earliest things I think was really, really important, which I'm not sure if many people have done, is they agreed that any illegal immigrants in the country, if you go to a hospital and say you're a legal immigrant, you'll get the test for free if you think you have it. And they won't say to the police, they won't say to the government. So which is like a super, it's just every country is going to have illegal immigrants. Every country is going to have those little select group of people hiding it. And the fact that they said that straight away really means that they're stopping it and they really care about getting this under control. So that was like another thing. They've really tried that. And I said, I don't think many people know about that kind of thing. And then the main thing, which I said is the most important thing, which for me is the one that stopped it straight away, was the third one. So precaution was number one, testing's number two, and then the tracking is number three. So I said that's the biggest difference I'd say about from what I've seen from most places. So if someone got coronavirus, if someone went to my local doctors here and got coronavirus, I would get a text on my phone. So if I got my phone here, so every day I get about 6 or 7 texts. Everyone in the whole country gets the same text. So I said, if you look at my phone, obviously they're in Korean. And basically all the text says is that it says one person in your area. So I live in Hannam, Gangnam. I work in Gangnam. I live in Hannam, Stachitsuwon. And it will say this person got tested on this day at this hospital. Go onto the website to see where they've been the last like 1 or 2 weeks. And then from that, I can literally look back. I can literally look back for my text and I can see they went. So that's really quite a scary thing. You can see that someone literally went to the Starbucks that I went to 3-4 days ago, but I worked out I wasn't there on the same day, so it's not too bad. Things like that. Luckily, I don't think I've had any contact with anyone in that kind of region, but there's so many good things about it. I said obviously there was a few Korean university students who were very, very smart, and they ended up making a little map. So that on my phone I have a map of the whole of Seoul, of Korea. You zoom into your area, and there's a green dot for every single place anyone with the coronavirus that's been tested has been. So straight away you can see where they've been. And the way they've done it is that anyone that gets tested for the coronavirus and gets positive, they look through all their bank details and they literally see where they have spent money in the last 2 weeks. And then they post it online, which I said is a very tricky thing. I said for us, I think at the moment I think it's worked amazingly. I said, and basically, if your debit card's been spent at the same time, the same day as this person, you will get a text saying, "Please come to the doctor. You have been in contact with a Korean person that's had the coronavirus. Please go and see a doctor straight away and get a test," which is amazing. It is a bit of a worry, obviously, the fact that they can see your bank details, they can see what you've been doing, they can see it's kind of that mass surveillance. They look through the CCTV to see who's been there, who's been paying cash, who's been paying debit cards. But I think if there was ever a time for that kind of surveillance to happen, it's probably this, and it is majorly effective. I think it is literally, and I think one of the biggest things is that everyone has got this map, everyone has seen the map, everyone can see where these people are, and it becomes a lot more real. So it's not like I said before, it's like luckily none of my friends, none of my family have kind of been affected by the coronavirus illness-wise. But on my map, I can see that literally a 2-minute walk away, someone was walking down that street and had the coronavirus. On my way to Gangnam, the Gangnam station, which I go to almost every day because it's near my work, there's been about 3 or 4 cases of people walking through Gangnam station in the last 2 weeks. So now I know not to go near Gangnam station because it's obviously a very kind of big focus point, and it just becomes a little bit more like every person you're walking past, they could kind of have it, and it becomes a bit more. It's just that I said it's kind of that fear, but that fear in this case is a good fear, isn't it? It's making you think about it and it's making you kind of worry. I said I think it's one of the most important things that having these masks is that when you're wearing it, it's not just stopping you coughing, it's not just stopping you sneezing, it's making you remember that the coronavirus is there. Like every time you kind of fidget with it, you remember why you're wearing it, and it just stops you touching your fingers, it stops you touching your nose. But I think because a lot of the time it's easy to to forget, especially obviously when you're like kind of just chatting with your friends and just kind of having a nice time. It's a lot easier to forget about what's going on in the world. But remember, when you see you got your mask on, when you see people walking around with masks, you kind of always remember, okay, wash my hands, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. So I think it's that psychological aspect of wearing a mask, which I think is really important as well. And I think I wish everyone was doing it. A lot of people are saying obviously they don't have much effect, but it's just that mental remembrance of you having there's a
Yeah.
thing going on right now. This is a it's a very useful thing to have.